Alright, man, it's your boy Eric, aka Young God, man. I ain't coming from the pink dungeon right now. I'm in the orange dungeon, man. But today we got a special guest in the building, like DJ Envy say, man. But now we got a guest in the building today, man. I'm gonna let him introduce himself, man. Who we got?
It's your boy Slade Da Monsta.
We got Slade in the building right now, man. For the people that don't know who Slade Da Monsta is, tell them about yourself, man. Who is Slade Da Monsta?
Slade Da Monsta. That's actually my real name. From North Carolina, man, born and raised. I came to Atlanta like 10 years ago as a film major, and start picking up music making production actually as a hobby because I did music like my whole life. At first, it started off as a elective, just like everybody else in school and shit, in band and all my best friends and stuff, man, played in church, and I was around music my whole life. I just, from the damn country, man. Like, where I'm from is like, just to put things in perspective, it's like 20,000 people, but the Georgia Dome fits 53,000 people. So it's pretty damn small. So
Yeah.
I came to Atlanta, man, searching for the American dream, just like every black person comes to Atlanta. I had an older brother down here, man, and one of his friends from college, he put me onto the film industry and the entertainment industry, and I was making beats as a hobby, and I met this guy named Jay Praise. He made Wankster for 50 Cent, and I didn't know it until after I played my beats. And he was like, "How long you been making beats?" And I was like 6 months. He was like, "What the fuck?" So he's like, "Yo, you need to be a producer, man." So from that day on, I was a producer, man, and shit, that's pretty much it, man. And just a humble kid, humble beginnings, man. Uh, uh, so what? Oh, my bad, man.
You good?
So, yeah, so I got my name. My name is Marcus Slade, but I engineered and I produced in my sessions, and everybody used to be like, "Oh, you a monster, Slade, you a monster," and everybody was saying it, and it just kind of stuck, man. So I just was like, "I'm Slade Da Monsta." I had some whack ass first producer names. Like, my first producer name was like Jack Slade, but
Jack Slade?
But this is the story. Jack Slade is the black guy, and I'm Gonna Get You Sucker.
Great movie. Great movie.
Yeah, but to the average person who doesn't know, it sounds like a porno star.
I was just about to say that. I was about to say, hey, definitely sound like you smashing hoes and slacks and shit, man. I ain't thought you was a porn star.
So I was like, all right, I'm gonna just go with Slade Da Monsta, man. It came naturally, so it just kind of stuck.
That makes sense. Well, for the people that don't know who you produce for, just give out a couple names.
I mean, I'm kind of popular now for Lil Uzi.
Yeah.
But Flo Rida, Gucci Man, Ludacris, aka G Herbo, Audio Push, 2 9. I've been knowing 2 9 and Jace from 2 9, Curtis Williams, ever since they were like 15 years old, 16, since they were in high school. Reese, Young Thug, shitload of people, man. I can keep going.
Yeah.
But I was an engineer.
Yeah, that's crazy. No, keep going. What you saying? My fault.
I would say I was an engineer. You know what I'm saying? Like, what people don't understand is when you first start making beats, you don't get paid. Like, people don't be buying beats and shit. And I went the engineer route just to make sure I was in the studio. And that's kind of how I started, like, meeting everybody and getting so many songs with people, man. So that's how that happened.
It's crazy you bring up Reese. That's the first time I ever heard you when you produced "Weird to Me." I was like, damn, who produced this beat? And then I found out it was you, and I looked up you was produced stuff with Uzi, and I'm like, wow, this nigga's great. This nigga's great. But how did you excuse me. Well, you kind of told you how to become a producer. Was it were you? Because I know a lot of producers are trying to be rappers now. So did you ever try that route of trying to be a rapper and was like, I kind of suck?
I have never got on the microphone before.
Wow.
Like, not even to say anything. Like, that's not my thing.
Like, you never been in the studio with Uzi and you was like, wow, this nigga is kind of slapping. I want to go in there too. You never been inspired to go in there, buddy? Wow.
Hell no.
Hey, I'm glad you say that because a lot of niggas don't know their lane. Like, it's too many niggas trying to do both and they can't do both. So I'm glad that
Yeah,
you know that you can only do one and you do it great. You know what I'm saying?
man, I can't even recite like rap songs besides make my own. Like I'm terrible with words, man. I cannot rap. I can't dance. I have no rhythm, but I got rhythm on beats, but I can't do none of that shit.
Yeah, I understand. Well, how did you? Speaking of Uzi, how did you ever like hook up with him? How did that come about?
Engineering, actually,
Oh,
like
engineer.
Don Cannon and DJ Drama reached out to me because they knew me from working with Reese, and they hired me as an engineer.
Mm-hmm.
But Cannon kind of had a idea of who I was, and he knew that I produced, and but he didn't have an idea how hard I was going because I was trying to be humble and shit, and I engineered for Thug. I got a lot of engineer credits too. Like I engineered 3 on the Bar to 6. Like I did I Got a Check. I did Constantly Hating with him and Birdman. I did the Never Had with him and Dolph. So I was recording. They hired me to record Young Thug for the Bar to 6. So I was recording Thug and Nipsey Hussle. Actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. They hired me to record Nipsey Hussle, and Thug came in for a session for a feature with Nipsey. I started recording Thug. He liked me, and then they was like, "Yo, can you record Uzi?" But me and Uzi had already been in touch through the internet and shit for like a year, sending him beats, and he was doing songs with Reese, and I was mixing them and shit. And when they was like, "We signed Uzi," I was like, "Oh, I know him, but I don't know him,
Yeah.
but we communicate over the internet, so." It was kind of like stars just lined up, man. And so Uzi didn't really have a lot of beats when I met him. People were giving him beats, but you know, man, when I met him, man, he was just like the kid in the studio, man, and just waiting his turn, like like at the basketball court or some shit. And we just started vibing, man. And he was just doing whatever ideas I had, he was loving that shit. So. I started engineering him, but it turned into me producing him too. So it would just be me and him in the studio. I would do the beat and engineer him. So that's how we met, and he took off. He's actually the first artist I worked with that I've worked with,
Mm-hmm.
that I've seen like go from
Nothing to something.
nothing to something.
Yeah. Well, I'm guessing for you to say y'all make so much music, I'm assuming that you guys have some unreleased things that, like, do you have an unreleased song that you and have made and like you just can't wait for it to get released, like it's one of your favorites, but it just hasn't came out yet? Anything like that? Something like that? I would imagine.
Yeah. Like we got some stuff that's like, we got a love song, man. It's not anything you would expect from me or him. You know what I'm saying? It's a mid-tempo, slow song. And I pray he drop it, man. But if he don't, I'm going to drop it. It's hard.
Hey,
you know
I got it, and I also got to ask, is like some of the beats you make are just wow. Like is like, how did he make that? So for me to think that, I also got to think, is there any drugs influencing this? Like is some wild shit just making like, or is it totally sober? Like are your beats made sober?
I'm sober, man. I smoke a lot of weed, but
oh, that's it. Okay.
No acid, no.
You ain't doing no heroin and nothing.
No, hell no. I don't even. I can count how many times I've like drank lean. You know what I'm saying? But it comes from being really, 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 really hungry. Like literally not hungry for success. I mean,
literally
like
hungry?
literally hungry,
Wow.
like starving.
That's crazy. I've heard Immortal Technique say for him to rap really good, he starves himself and then he goes to rap. So that actually is a technique for artists to go and starve themselves so they can make a cool beat.
I think it's a learned technique because I think when you're on the grind, you're making the best shit, man, because you're on the grind, you're trying to get out of your situation.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you start becoming successful, you start getting comfortable because you can eat now.
Yeah.
You can take a bath every day. And so you kind of get in this zone where you're like, I'm just doing shit. I'm not really creative. I'm just doing shit.
Yeah.
So people like do stuff like that, like starve themselves. And I've seen Young Thug lay down in the booth.
You lay down in the booth?
Like literally, like Lay down in the booth.
Hey, that is some very Young Thug shit. That is some
Like
very Young Thug
there's
shit.
all kinds of shit, man. So
Um, wow, that's some wild shit. I have two more questions before we get into the fans' questions. Back to Uzi real quick. What is your favorite song that you produced by Uzi, and your favorite song that you did not produce by Uzi?
my favorite song that I produced by Uzi that y'all have heard is probably Super Saiyan. I
Wow.
like All My Chains too, though.
Yeah, All My Chains is crazy.
I like.
All My Chains
The
is
thing,
crazy.
the weird story about All My Chains is that we did Super Saiyan, but I didn't hear All My Chains until y'all heard All My Chains. I didn't even know he did this shit. You know, I was like, what the fuck? I didn't record that shit or nothing. I didn't even know he did it until it came out on the tape. I was like, oh fuck, that was one of my favorite beats. But yeah, I really like Super Saiyan, man, because I made that beat for a guy had booked me for a session. That's a funny story about that beat. A guy had booked me for just. If anybody's listening, that's a producer, man. Like, you can't ever let nobody discourage you on your sound or your ideas, because a guy paid me studio time and was like, "Hey, bro, can you make me a beat?" I made that beat, and he was like, "It's alright." And he was a nobody.
He was no. I thought somebody probably knew. This is nobody.
No, he was. I made that beat in an apartment. I made that beat in an apartment, and the guy was like, "Hey, man, it's cool." I was like, shit, all right. I gave it to Uzi, and it ended up being Super Saiyan. And now he's like, what? That's the same beat. Hey.
That's that nigga fault.
Yeah, but I think, I'm going to say Super Saiyan. And my second best song I love, man, is Virginia Beach Freestyle by Key.
I never heard that. I got to go listen to that.
That's the one. Virginia Beach Freestyle. Am I wrong? Hold on, real quick.
All right. Brief intermission, guys.
Oh, did you ask me what's my favorite beat that Uzi got on that I didn't do?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
You good.
Well, you can still go look up.
Yeah, I can still go over to Virginia Beach.
Yeah, that's by Key. But my favorite Uzi song that I didn't produce is probably Lamborghini Dreams.
Great song.
I recorded that song.
Oh, you recorded that?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. When I was like, this shit is crazy. Yeah.
That's a good song. Well, last question coming from me, then we go to the fans' questions, then we out. I know you told the Young Thug story. Is there any other stories with artists that, I don't know, just interesting stories you've had with artists that you could talk about? Oh, you're already thinking of shit, I see. Anybody you work with that we probably know.
Man, look.
Anything you could talk about.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got a great one.
What's up?
Yeah, I got a great one. I can go on for days, man.
Hey, man, let it off, man.
This one is about Guwap.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So this one is a Guwap story. So, like I said, I was a film major, and this was before I had any placements, before anybody knew me. But I was still making beats though. So, one of my friends called me and said, I'm double booked. I have to shoot. Young Jock hired me to follow him around all day, and Gucci Mane hired me to follow him around all day for their releases, for their albums.
Okay.
And they're doing a press run. They need a cameraman, but obviously I can't do both. Which one you want to do? And I was like, I'm gonna do Gucci Mane, because at the time, Young Jock was the biggest rapper in Atlanta. And Young Jock is a hard worker. He's a very hard worker. You know what I'm saying? At the time, before he was like a reality star and a joke or whatever, he was like a very, very hard worker. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So I was like, man, I'm gonna go with Gucci. He kind of, relaxed. So I met the A&R from the record label at the radio station at 7 in the morning, and nobody could find Gucci Mane. because Gucci didn't have a phone.
Mm.
He didn't. He don't believe in phones.
What year is this?